Something a little different at the Democratic debate tonight, immigration as an issue for the Democrats to debate, the two remaining ones. This is our continuing coverage in the aftermath of this, the 18th Democratic debate. And we're now joined by MSNBC political analyst Pat Buchanan and Rachel Maddow. And let's talk about this issue of Democrats addressing, to some degree, and I imagine Pat will think it was a very small one, to some degree the issue of immigration. Pat, start us off.
Well, I think that Obama had a good moment on it when he said we ought not to scapegoat these folks. It was emotional. But the fact that the question was asked by an African-American, and she was talking about as I recall, asking about the immigrants taking away these jobs. And on that, I thought Hillary won the debate for this reason. She showed empathy for the person, and she also showed realism. Because the truth is, with the 12 to 14 million illegals she mentioned in the country, most of them very low-wage workers, they do dramatically increase competition for low-wage jobs. And so I thought Hillary won the immigration debate basically in terms of reaching out into Barack's constituency and into the poor working class folks. So I think she won that section.
I think she won it in terms of political aggressiveness, certainly. That was actually the one kind of shocking moment for me in the debate. I thought that Hillary seemed very bad tonight on Iraq, but on that immigration issue, that's the one other time when I made notes. So I looked down at my notes and I said, Hillary says that African Americans should scapegoat Latino immigrants for taking their jobs. She specifically said African Americans. She referenced a personal interaction with an African American man who had lost his job and believed it was because of Latino immigrants. Barack Obama had said, let's not scapegoat anybody. African Americans were having high unemployment rates before the current wave of immigrants that we know we're talking about here. And Hillary Clinton essentially said, well, I don't know why we shouldn't scapegoat them. I mean, it wasn't in that blunt of terms, but it was. She was putting the wedge between Latinos and blacks.
But the truth is that after you've asked African Americans, many of them are more militant than white conservatives on the immigration issue because they're living in these communities and jobs are being taken, and there is a real turf war, if you will, over jobs and opportunities. And in the real world, that is happening, and Hillary showing that awareness, I think that's going to stand her in good stead. Yeah, and I'm surprised it showed courage, because it also, I guess you're going to find some Hispanics to say just what you're saying, Rachel. Yeah, well, she's scapegoating.
I don't think it showed courage. I think it showed cravenness. I mean, anytime you've got communities that are hard hit, and when you look at, like, if you compare the start of Bush's term and Latino and African-American families and their incomes and how they have dropped so much more than the average American family's incomes have dropped over Bush's presidency, when you've got two communities that are hard hit, that are both essentially at the bottom of the economic ladder, it's a great place to drive a wedge. That's political dynamite right there. You can always turn them against each other. I was just shocked that she did it.
Let me interject something here to try to get a little bit bigger picture on this. Was it a surprise to hear two Democratic candidates to the presidency of the United States both say that for illegal immigrants in this country to gain citizenship, one said they would have to learn English, and the other one said we're going to have to help them learn English? There seemed to be fairly conservative, if it's a very subtle slice of the pie, Pat, that was a fairly conservative point of view for two Democrats, was it not?
It is indeed. It is indeed. And of course, when you get into the general election, I think Barack Obama's position about the driver's licenses as things, as we saw up in New York State, where 70% of New Yorkers turned against Governor Spitzer, and Hillary Rodham Clinton had to spin on the issue in a matter of weeks. And I thought she was effective also, Keith, when she came back. Barack Obama said you had two positions, and she came back and said, yeah, and you were asked your position. It took you 60 seconds, and you couldn't think of one, and he did not come back and respond. I thought she was crisp and in command on the first section, on the national health assurance. She's got clarity there. And on the second section, I do agree Barack Obama raised himself up back to the pedestal, and I think a couple of those answers on Iraq were terrific from the national standpoint.
We're going to look at that intensely in a moment, literally in a moment. But Rachel, just finish us off on this immigration issue and these subject of teaching English mandatorily.
I would just say right now that sounds good, because I think the country has kind of accepted the Republican talking points and framing on this. But right now, Eliot Spitzer would probably beat any Republican candidate for president. Immigration has not been a great electoral issue for the Republicans, even as good as their talking points sound.
You wait.
Sure, Pat. I'm looking forward to it.
I just thought it was extraordinary that they were willing to take any kind of position that might be controversial at the extreme left of their constituencies, and that's why it's noteworthy. If for that, and never mind the nuance that followed that both of you have discussed.